Hey guys, what's up? This is Ken Kowalski at Second 50 Strong, and today we're going to talk about some male statistics that we're failing in, and they're pretty sad. Let's do this. All right guys, the first statistic I want to talk about today is life expectancy. As of right now, men are statistically living until about 76 years old. So when you hit your 50th birthday, you've got 26 years left of life, which for me is a little bit frightening. That's not a long time, but the good side of realizing this is if you want to make some changes and you want to take some action to better your life, you got to do it right now. Also, what's a little crazy is women are living 6 years longer by average than men are. Their life expectancy is 82 years, which is much further down the road. But not only that, guys, and this is what I see as a physical therapist of 30 years, still working. I deal with a lot of couples, and I see that women actually age better than most men do. They get less frail compared to their former selves. They age at a slower pace compared to their former selves. And there are way too many couples out there that the man is way more frail, medically sick, and deconditioned than the woman is in the relationship. Now, obviously, there's exceptions to this, but in the majority of cases, I have always been finding this to be the truth. The fact that women outperform men later in life, medically and physically, is so profound that there is, I'm going to actually give a free plug right now, there is a nursing home finder on the internet called A Place for Mom. That's what it's called. Why? Because they realize statistically, dad's already dead. So the big question becomes, why are men dying so much earlier than women? All right, guys, as a quick little aside note here, I'm refilming all of this from yesterday. Yesterday I had my glasses on and I bought a new ring light, which I think is maybe helping with the shadows back here. I actually have no idea. And I thought I did a great job, but then when I looked at the videos, I had these little bright yellow circles on each one of the lenses of my glasses. I looked like my eyes were plugged in or like a minion or something. So I had to trash all of that, redo it today, and I am not doing as good of a job today as I did yesterday, but so be it. That's how life goes. The second statistic I want to talk about today is divorce. And these are all statistics in the US, by the way. Everything I say is in the United States. So right now, 50% of all first marriages end up in divorce. But that's the best number of all, because 67% of all second marriages end up in divorce and 73% of all third marriages end up in divorce, which makes a combined total average of all marriages in the United States, 63% of them end up in divorce, which is insane. But let's just look at the first marriage, where it's 50% end up in divorce. Is that even worth doing anymore? If you bought a car, would you spend money on a car that you know 50% might end up breaking down on you? Would you buy a home that you knew there was a 50% chance it would just crumble to the ground? Would you make a monetary investment in any investment knowing that there was a 50% chance of losing all of your money? No, of course not. Nobody would. But that's what's going on with marriage today. And most men are going into marriage not really aware of these statistics. But that's not the worst of it, guys. The real stab in the chest is, and here it comes, 70% of all divorces are initiated by women. Let that sink in for a minute. In a marriage, a woman who's telling the man she loves him so much, down the road, 70% chance is going to tell him she doesn't love him anymore if they get divorced. That's crazy. So the big question becomes is, what are men doing wrong in relationships? We can't blame this on the woman, because one thing I know is that women are very reactionary in their relationships. They can be amazing in their jobs. They can be surgeons. They can be lawyers. They can be presidents of the United States, whatever. But in the relationship, they become very reactionary. So they are basically reacting to the man. So this is our responsibility to figure out, why are men failing in relationships so badly? Statistic number 3, hand gesture for all you freestyle wrestlers out there, is obesity. 50% of all men in the United States are obese, but even worse, 70% of all adult males are overweight. Guys, this is crazy. It's so bad out there right now that the US Department of Defense did a study a couple years ago and found that only 23% of adult males are physically able to even enlist in the military. That's 77% of adult males in America right now could not even handle physically enlisting in the military for what they need to do. So why on earth are men mismanaging their bodies so badly? Statistic number 4, financial. Right now in America, the average man over 50 has saved $250,000. Now, I'm 52. I'm 52, so I still feel like $250,000 is a lot of money. But you know what? Nowadays, it's not. $250,000 has way lost its purchasing power, even from what it had 5 years ago. We all see how frighteningly high everything is costing nowadays. I just worked with a patient a couple weeks ago who got a new ramp in the front of his home because he was frail and lost the ability to go up and down his stairs. So it's a beautiful ramp, and it actually comes down and loops back again because it has to go 1 inch rise down for every foot of ramp, and it's all, American Disability Act qualified and all of that. So it's beautiful, but it cost him $15,000. Now that $15,000 would be quite a bite into $250,000, and that's just for a ramp, so he can get in and out of his home. Cars are more expensive, food is more expensive, everything is more expensive. So $250,000, that's what the male at the age 50 has saved up right now, is not going to sustain his quality of life through his retirement. So why, the big question is, are men not saving enough money for retirement? And then the last statistic, which is the saddest, and it's statistic number 5, is suicide. Men over 70 make up the largest proportion of suicides in the United States compared to any other group by a mile. Men over 70 have the highest rate of killing themselves. Between 2021 and 2022, the percent grew by 10% of men between the age 50 to 65 for suicide. Why? I have no idea. And the worst statistic of all is, out of all the suicides in America in 2022, men committed 80% of them. 80%. Why are men killing themselves? But with all of these very sad statistics that we need to look closer at, here's one more ugly, salty truth that I see every day in my job. That the men that aren't completely frail and medically sick, that aren't divorced, that aren't overweight, that aren't close to broke, and that aren't contemplating killing themselves, a portion of them are miserable anyway. They're just not happy. Their job or their career is starting to feel just like another paycheck. It has no meaning to them, and they're very uninspired. The marriages that they're still in start to look very unromantic and humdrum and a little bit boring. Their bodies are starting to get more aches and pains. They're disconnecting from that feeling of being younger and starting to say, oh, it sucks to get old. That horrible statement I can't stand, right? So there's a lot of things going on with the male that doesn't fall within these statistics that are still making them generally unhappy. So we asked a lot of questions today, but the real magic bullet question becomes, does it have to be this way for the man as he gets older? And the answer is absolutely not. No way. What is normal is what is common, but what is normal is not what is correct. There is an enormous difference between common and correct. And the normal we're experiencing today as men in our second 50 years of life is completely incorrect. and doesn't need to be this way. Now, suicide is a little bit of a complicated issue, but all of these statistics have to do with an accumulation of poor choices and either acting in the incorrect way or not acting in the correct way. And that's how they accumulate. Like a penny in a piggy bank every day will turn it into 100 pounds, right? It starts to add on up. That's where this normal of second 50 men is coming from, although it's completely incorrect. It does not need to be this way. How do I know? Because I've met men that are complete opposites of these statistics. Now, they're in the minority, they're absolutely more rare, but they exist. And they exist not because they hit the genetic jackpot. They exist because they made the right choices, they took the right actions, and they're enjoying a wonderful second 50 years of life. This is what we're going to talk about next video, of who these people are and what they're doing and how it molded what I wrote in my book that isn't published yet called Grow or Die. That is, the 7 missions of that book are modeled around what these people who are having an incredible second 50 years of life are doing. So that's what we're going to talk about in our next video. I'm sorry that this video was such a bummer, so sad, but it's happening. It's the normal, and we can't fix it until we're aware of it. But now, next time I meet up with you guys, we're going to talk about what to do to fix it. So I'm Ken Kowalski. This is Second 50 Strong. Get strong as hell, redefine your prime, and I will see you next time.